So Genshin recently just dropped one of the biggest trailers yet with a preview of the upcoming region in Nod Krai and all of the characters we are expecting to meet there. Now, I don't know about you, but as someone with nothing else better to do, I personally watched the trailer over 5 times already, and there were definitely a lot of things to unpack. So in this video, I want to look beyond Genshin's version 5.8 by going over some of Nod Krai's characters and to have a little fun by predicting what the future might entail for Genshin. This is honestly one of the most hyped patch of all time, since we're entering into the unknown, never done before Nod Krai arc. So there's no past history like this one to follow, and I hope you're ready for the ride. If you didn't know, during the version 5.8 livestream, we already got a few confirmation of Nod Krai, with the very first character Inefa releasing in version 5.8. Inefa introduces a new reaction called Lunar Charge, which is basically an enhanced version of Electro Charge reaction that can crit. This is all we currently know, and without further testing, I'm not sure how strong the new reaction is, but if all the Nod Krai characters introduce a new type of reaction, there's definitely going to be a shift in the meta, which I will go more in depth later in the video. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might be on a fence, or even already decided to skip Inefa entirely because I get it. Genshin just revealed some of the most anticipated characters of all time, and assuming they are all playable, my already non-existing Primogems are in grave danger. Why? We're talking about Varka, a character that has been mentioned ever since version 1.0, finally revealed in the flesh, who's got Gepard stuck in the Adventure's body. We also got 2 of the Hexen Circle members in Alice and Nicole, both of which also finally got a face tied to their names. As a day 1 Genshin player, I'm definitely going to pull for all 3 of them, since they are all big names and I'm just a sucker for them. There's also Columbina, who might be my most anticipated character, and she did not disappoint. Her new design looks amazing, and I'm looking forward to meeting her and seeing what she does in the story. And most importantly, Genshin's finally getting new male characters. In this economy? In 2025? Yes, we're getting Varka, who I mentioned earlier, and of course Durin's human form, who we got to see a teaser of at the end of the Paralogism quest. There's also a new Lantern guy, Kritro Chudomirovic Flins? Or just Flins, who also looks pretty cool. Of course there were more characters revealed, but I'll talk all about them later. Going back to version 5.8, with Inefa and Citlali being the first 2 banners in the first half, I'm sure many of you are still deciding whether or not to pull for them. Of course, if you like any of the characters, I'm not gonna stop you. You should always pull with your heart. Meta-wise, like I said earlier, I'm not sure whether or not Inefa will be the meta-defining character or anything, but as the first lunar reaction character, I'm sure she'll be unique in that aspect. At least until version 6.0. With Genshin's endgame heavily favoring the banner characters, Lunar Charge and Electro Charge will probably be reactions that the game encourages you to use, especially with Stygian Onslaught and the Spiral Abyss heavily revolving around the banner characters. So Inefa is most likely going to be an important piece in both of the endgame modes. In my opinion, Inefa might be like Emily, who was a pretty slept on character when she first got released, as she was the first burning-centric character. A lot of people wrote her off in the beginning since burning as a reaction just wasn't that prominent in 4.8. But guess who released the version right afterwards? Oh yeah, Kinich, whose entire kit and gameplay revolves around burning. Am I seeing a pattern here? Sure, you can argue that Kinich can do just fine without Emily. And I also agree, but his best damage team overall involves Emily in it. So yeah, with Inefa being the last character of a patch, you would think that she might play a bigger role once the Nod Krai roster gets released. So if you have any extra Primogems, maybe consider pulling for her. On a similar note, the only time a new character got introduced, similarly to Inefa, before the big regional update was Kazuha, all the way back in 1.6. I can speak from experience when Kazuha first got released, everyone thought he was budget sucrose and Venti is all you need. But little did we know that Kazuha became the most sought after character, at least for me, as he did not get another banner until 1 year after in version 2.8. I used to regret not pulling for Kazuha, and even had dreams of getting him. Okay Volty, you might be too addicted to Genshin. Go touch some grass or something. Oh, joke's on you. I'm actually touching grass right now. Anyways, you get what I'm telling you, right? Of course, don't listen to me and go with your heart to pull for whoever you want. Another character that's also getting a banner in version 5.8 is Citlali, who is one of the best supports in the game. Citlali currently has an 89.5% Spiral Abyss usage rate, and has held one of the top 3 uses ever since her release in 5.3. Take all of these information with a grain of salt. But with her rerun strategically placed right before a potential meta shift, looking at it in terms of the meta, it's a little bit suspicious. Sure, miHoYo might still be the best DPS in the game right now, with Citlali as her best teammate. Whether or not you should still wish for her, it really depends on your needs. The number one reason is how much you like her as a character, and if you do, of course go for it. If you have miHoYo or Arlecchino, and Citlali is your only missing piece to complete their premium teams, then I will also wish for her if I'm in your exact shoes, as she is still one of the best supports in the game. As much as we don't want to admit it, Genshin's power creep is real. And if you want to keep clearing the abyss with all 36 stars and stage an onslaught as well with an easier time, then I have a feeling that the new Nod Krai Lunar reaction will play a pivotal role in the future versions to come. If you don't believe me, let's take a look at another character similarly to Citlali in the past. Yes, the character I'm talking about is Nahida, who is probably, and still is, one of the best supports in the game. When she first got released, she tops most of the Abyss usage rates like Citlali. And from her release in version 3.3 all the way until version 4.5, Nahida was also top of the Abyss usage rates. Not until after version 4.6 where she dropped quite significantly. I'm not saying Hyperbloom with Dendro in general is bad, since Abyss is very biased towards the Nathlon character and Skirk as of late. So the current usage rate of course reflects upon that. But it's still a pretty fascinating stat to look at, as someone that's experienced all the previous versions. Also, if you're not a hardcore player or someone chasing endgame max stars, you can pretty much ignore all of the stats that I just mentioned because at the end of the day, Genshin is a relaxing open world exploration game, and everyone can just take whatever they like in the overworld. With everything I said in mind, let's talk a bit about Nod Krai and what we currently know. So in the version 5.8 livestream, Genshin teased a little bit of Lauma, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right, who we can see traveling in her deer form, which I'm assuming might be her elemental skill, as Genshin kind of favors putting exploration quality of life in a character's kit. But more importantly, in the Nod Krai teaser, we also saw Lauma's vision. And if you're colorblind or having a hard time deciphering it, it's Dendro. This tells me a few things. Going with a Nod Krai character gets a new reaction pattern, we can pretty much guess that Lauma probably has a special Dendro reaction. Whether that is a lunar bloom, lunar spread, we don't know yet. But it's also piqued my interest on whether or not this could mean the official introduction of the rhyme grass mechanic in Genshin. If you didn't play June's Imaginarium Theater, Genshin introduced a new reaction called rhyme grass, which essentially made Cryo and Dendro work together, creating a rhyme grass on the field which does damage. Couple that up with Electro and boom, all the enemies die. Easy. Usually Genshin experiments with new things in events, so I wouldn't put it past them to test out rhyme grass in a temporary game mode before officially introducing them to the game. But I also don't want to assume things. Based on Lauma's character design, she's probably a 5-star character, and if low special lunar reaction only works with Nod Krai characters, will Genshin be diabolical enough to lock a new reaction behind a new character? I mean, Nilo's Super Bloom is already a thing, but that wasn't really that impactful because Rhymegrass can unlock so many new team comps that we've never seen before. But I'll take Lunar Bloom or Lunar Spread on Lauma. Just please don't lock Rhymegrass behind a DLC, or in this case, a new character. Another thing that stood out to me from the Nod Krai teaser is Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna try. So yeah, the emo lantern guy Flins. In the teaser, if you look really closely near his butt, I swear I didn't stare at that. I was actually just looking for the vision respectfully. Anyways, you can see that he is confirmed to be Electro. This creates an interesting pattern in something that I talked about earlier with Emily and Kenichi. With Flint's being an Electro character who most likely have some sort of lunar reaction, he might be the best teammate with Inefa. Now, I could be wrong in my predictions, but I just want to point out this pattern as it seems all too similar. Barca is another character that we got a little glimpse of his vision. I'm sorry, I zoomed into the wrong thing. You know what, I'm not going to explain myself. Which, who would have guessed, is Animo. Now, in the trailer, he was also shown to wield the Wolf's Gravestone. So we got confirmation of both his element and his weapon type. I don't want to rush into any conclusions, but just the fact that he's using the Wolf's Gravestone, surely this means that he's a DPS, right? Personally, I really hope so, as my Animo only account is itching for another DPS character. So another interesting observation from the Nod Krai trailer was Durin, who was also shown to have a vision. What's interesting about it is that if we look closely at his frame, you can see that he is Pyro. And if we look even closer, his vision is from Mondstadt, based on the shape. This of course makes sense since lore-wise he is from Mondstadt. And I guess he got his vision sometime after the Paralogism quest. Now, assuming only Nod Krai characters have the special lunar reactions, this probably means that Durin, Varka, and other characters not from Nod Krai will not have the special reactions in their kit. But Durin being Pyro is interesting though, and I wonder what his kit will look like, especially since he's got wings and is part dragon. My personal big 3 characters from Nod Krai are Columbina, Alice, and Nicole. Out of the 3, only Alice's element was truly confirmed, but you could see that she's going to be Pyro from a miles away. Since Nod Krai is the first expansion without an Archon of sort, I can't really predict what the other 2 characters' elements are gonna be. But if I were to guess, just based on the design choices and hints from the trailer, I would say Columbina is likely to be Hydro as she is literally standing on water. Hydro is still the best element in the game, and honestly I can see her being one of the best characters meta-wise when she releases. Alice on the other hand has a Pyro vision, and since it's Mondstadt, I'm not sure if she'll have any lunar reactions, but with Pyro being a pretty stacked element with Malvika and Arlecchino already, I would personally rather see Alice being a sub DPS or a support. The same goes to Durin as well. As for Nicole, the only thing I saw was her wings, and the color scheme makes it seem like she is a Geo character, or potentially an animal character based on the wind. It would be cool if Genshin releases a light element, but I'd say that's unlikely. There's also other characters featured in the teaser like Aino, who we saw a glimpse of in the version 5.8 special program as well, and Jehoda, who we saw with Durin in the Nod Krai teaser. I don't think there were any glimpse or any hints of their element, but if I were to guess, Aino looks Electro and Jehoda looks Geo, but of course I could be wrong. Finally, there was also another Fatui Harbinger, Sandrone, who I'm personally excited for as well. We don't know anything about her element, but her color scheme screams Pyro to me, I don't know why. Last but not least, there's Nefer, who I really like the design of. If you haven't been able to guess already, she's also a Dendro character, proven with a mini glimpse of her vision on her back. It's kinda hard to see the vision casing, so I'm not sure if she's from Nod Krai or some other region, but if she is, I wonder if her lunar reactions would be the same as Lauma or something else entirely. With that being said, this teaser definitely got me hyped up for the upcoming region. Since there are only 11 characters that were teased in the trailer, there are still room for 6 more characters to complete the full roster of 17 that Genshin usually releases every major region. Based on the history, we'll probably get 2 new Liyue characters during Lantern Rite, so that makes 4 more characters that are unknown as of this video. Who knows, maybe Capitano will make a comeback since Nod Krai seems like it's heavily involving the Fatuis. Which character, in your opinion, is a must-have for you? Are you going to break out your wallet for Nod Krai? Thanks to everyone that watched this video all the way through. And special thanks to those that liked the video and subscribed. Shout out to all my devotee channel members as well for financially supporting this channel. And I'll see you in the next one.